Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers, and joining me to talk about Bo Nix, the quarterback coming out of Oregon NFL draft prospect, as you know, Mr. William Yanish III. Help me out. How you doing this afternoon, man?
I'm doing great, Logan. How about yourself, man?
Doing well, man. Doing well. Excited to talk about this quarterback. We all know it's going to be getting a lot of press around him very, very soon. And if you want to check out where you think Bo Nix will be, you can come and watch our live draft reaction show live on Facebook and YouTube, where we're going to be streaming it 7:30 Eastern Standard Time next Thursday at the time of this recording. That is going to be on Thursday, April 25th. So come in there, check us out, and say hello and see where Mr. Bo Nix will land. So, William, let's get into it, man. What do you like about Bo Nix, and what do you think about some of his intangibles?
Oh man, Bo Nix. I mean, he absolutely exploded after he left Auburn. He played not too well down there. It was his dad's alma mater, and it didn't look good. The transfer for Oregon was the best thing, and being coached by Dan Lanning. Dan Lanning is an amazing coach. I love that guy after some of the speeches I heard last year. But Bo Nix, this is a guy who is like, I was mentioning the light last time, and a Drew Brees light. I see Nix possibly landing in Denver. Nix or Rattler, and with Sean Payton. I mean, some of the things this kid can do. I mean, he's been in the Heisman race. Finished runner-up. The votes. I mean, he is a great player. Can throw the deep ball. I mean, one of the better ones this year. They've all got issues with downfield ball placement. All the quarterbacks in this draft. There are quite a few drafts where Bo Nix would be the first quarterback taken. I mean, it's just that simple. This kid, he is a coach's son. He is got, like you mentioned, intangibles. Just ready to come out, and he is going to make somebody a very good quarterback in the NFL. I mean, it's as simple as that. I have two evaluations out, and his final, he is just not receiving, enough hype like, some of the other quarterbacks in this draft, the Caleb Williams and the Jaden Daniels and the Drake May. But like I said, this kid, he's got what it takes to transition into the NFL. He gets the ball out quick, and lives to play another down, gets rid of the ball when he has to, and I mean, he is going to be a great player. Like I said, I see him landing in Denver, and I live here in Colorado, so that's one thing that I tell a lot of people on Facebook. Like I said, it's going to be Nix or Rattler because they need a quarterback, and I mean, those two, there's some good things going with these guys. And Nix, I don't know what else to say, man. I mean, he is a great player.
He is. He's a guy who, we talk about here a lot on the program. At Auburn, it wasn't like he was awful, but he was not putting up first round talent numbers.
I think Auburn is the place where, quarterbacks kind of go to die. I'm not saying that.
But
recently, though.
Yeah, when you look at it, though, I mean, compare his Oregon stats to his Auburn stats, he was sacked more in every season at Auburn than he was at Oregon combined. He was sacked 5 times in each season. In Auburn, 2019, 17 sacks. 2020, 21 sacks. 2021, 12 sacks. So O-line didn't help him at all. Once he got to Oregon, and as you mentioned, Dan Lanning and that offense, he really seemed to get it going. The one question that I've seen people say and bring up about Bo Nix, is he just a system quarterback or not? Because you saw 3 years of him at Auburn, and he was okay, but then once he got to Oregon, he really got things going under that new system. So that's the question I've been seeing. Is he a system quarterback, or did he really just progress and get better and better as a player? That remains to be seen. That question can't be answered before we see him in the league. Obviously, I think he's going to go first round. There's a lot of quarterback talent here. and he is one of the best ones we have in this draft. Obviously, we know this past season was his best year by far. Over 4,500 yards on a 77% completion percentage, 45 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. And as I previously mentioned, only sacked 5 times. So he can get it done through the air. That is legitimate. What are some strengths I like about Bo Nix? What are some other abilities? He's got good ability to work through options. He's not going to be stuck on one receiver and stick to him. He goes through his motions and sees what's going on. As you mentioned, he's got a just cannon for an arm. He's got really good velo when he tosses that rock. He also is good, like you mentioned. All these guys have issues. They're not perfect quarterbacks, but he can chuck it deep with some of the better of them. He's got good talent. He's got good accuracy, good throwing accuracy. As I mentioned, 77%. You're doing something right there. And what likes him, though, is he's tough. Obviously, he's got a lot of sacks in his career, but he's able to get up and move on. He's played a lot of football. He's 24, like a good bit of the quarterbacks as well. But when I see why people say that he could be just a system quarterback is I found this one stat, William, and I thought it was a little bit curious, a little peculiar, and that is nearly 30% of his passes this past season were behind the line of scrimmage to his dynamic running back room, as we mentioned in a previous video. So if he goes somewhere, like you mentioned, Denver, that's a solid option. But if he goes somewhere with a talented running back room who has good options at pass catching, I think that would definitely suit him. Or if, as you mentioned, Denver, if they draft, maybe another running back to help them out and just strengthen that room, that would really help as well. But I like Bo Nix, man. I think he's an absolute gamer. And we have a comment here saying that he has played a lot of football. Yes, he has. Yes, he has.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, though. He's played a lot, but he hasn't missed a lot of games. He's played.
He started
every
as a freshman.
Season. Yeah, he started as a freshman at Auburn. And he has lived up to the hype. He's gotten better every season, that is for sure. And I'm curious to see how Bo Nix is going to do in the NFL draft. William, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Oh, you're talking about him being a system quarterback, but then you were talking about his completion percentage, and that
right.
kind of
he's doing something right.
That kind of got to me. He is doing something absolutely right. I mean, I mentioned a lot of years he would be the first quarterback taken. A lot of years he would have won the Heisman as well. He had better stats. The only kryptonite he had was Michael Penix in Washington. He lost to those 2 games by 6 points. 3 points each game. I mean, absolute blowout. I mean, it was just those games were awesome. I watched both of them.
Oh yeah, he put on a show.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, Penix, same way. I mean, these 2 quarterbacks, they're going to do well. I mean, and they talk about Bo Nix's age. Well, there are a ton of quarterbacks that were born in 2000. A ton. Yep. The majority in this draft have been born in 2000.
That's true. And like we've been saying for a lot of these draft prospects, this is the first time we're ever seeing the COVID year players come out. Who could go back for that 5th year, like Bo Nix, like Penix, like a bunch of these guys. So we're finally seeing that. And that's why there's a lot of these guys who are 24. It's because they chose to stay an extra year and build up their draft stock. And guess what? It worked for a lot of them. That's why we're seeing a lot of these guys going to be going in the first round. And if you want to check out where these guys are going to go in the first round, you can do so with our live draft reaction show. Once again, Thursday, April 25th, 7:30 Eastern Standard Time. So we're going to be starting that, kicking it off, doing a little bit of pre-draft coverage. And then once the draft kicks off at 8, we'll be having tickers at the bottom telling you where these people go and giving our initial breakdowns. If it's a good move, a bad move, or a lateral move. We are excited, though. It's going to be 1 week away at the time of this recording, so it's going to be a fun time. Mr. Yanish, I appreciate you, man, coming on the show, talking about Bo Nix, the talented quarterback coming out of formerly out of Auburn, but now out of Oregon, now going to the NFL. We'll talk to you guys again on another live episode. We'll see you later.